2016 PGA Merchandise Show. We're in the Callaway booth with a face that should be familiar to many, Mr. Roger Cleveland. Roger, pleasure to be talking to you again.
Great to talk to you.
And we're going to talk about wedges because obviously you're Roger Cleveland. That's what you're known for. We're going to start off. Last year the PM grind came out. It was an instant success for Callaway. This year it's coming out in a black finish.
It is. Well, the reason it is coming out in the black, our MD3, okay, I'll bring this one out because that's another new one. We brought out in black, a matte black, as well as the chrome. And the matte black was a huge success. Everybody loved it, and the accent and everything. So we wanted to bring out that same color that everybody liked because it's muted and you don't get a reflection from the sun. And we brought it out in the PM. And why wouldn't you want to try Phil's wedge in a muted finish? So it's pretty cool.
I'm a big fan of club options. And it was nice the wedge came out last year and that satin chrome finish that it had on it. And it seemed that Callaway listened to the consumers. One thing they wanted was a different option with it. Is that really how the black wedge finish came out of this one, listening to the consumers?
Well, it's a little different at Callaway. We listen now. And yeah, it does. We listen to our pros, and it's very much like the slate finish or the raw finish that we have out on tour that doesn't reflect, and we wanted something that's going to be a little bit more durable and not rust for the consumer, and that's what this black. It's a kind of a heat treat that we put on it, and it's very cool.
And when it comes to listening to consumers and tour players alike, last year we sat here and it was announced the day before, so now it's a year later. What kind of feedback have you gotten from tour players and amateurs out there, besides the finish itself, on what the technology has done for them?
You mean the black finish or
just the technology on the PM grind wedge itself, because it's such a unique design compared to any other wedge that's out there.
A lot of people think it's pretty ugly, but I tell you what, it really works. And when you, some people don't understand it, but when you open the face of a club, if you're, this is a lob wedge category golf club. We do have a 56, okay, and we have 58 and 60. But when you open the face, you understand what this wedge is all about because the area that you hit is much greater now, and it looks like a shovel. And out of the bunker in rough, it's amazing because we have such tight radius and heel and toe relief that you can, when you do open it, you don't create too much bounce, and it allows that leading edge to slide under the ball, and then the bounce comes in. Because the bounce is further back because we have this hollow in the center, and that's what Phil likes. He likes the bounce further back and slides that leading edge under. And so we put the grooves all the way out as we did, in the other model, and when you open the face, you go out toward the toe more and you go up the face. So that's very key to control it. Spin's your friend. You got to have it.
Why do you think it took so long for a wedge to get developed with such that high toe? As pronounced as that one is, because
it didn't take so long. The Pink Company has been doing it, and it's a very good design for when you open that face. So
it's just a design that makes so much sense. I know when I open the face, I look for the contact, and it's always up on that high toe. And now this, the consumer model that came out last year, it's really perfect for that kind of shot.
Absolutely. Well, that's why Phil had a conventional wedge, okay, with the sole that he wanted, with a concave sole, but he was fearful that he would go under the ball, so he needed more real estate up there, and that's what we added with the PM. So it's pretty good.
And you touched on as well in the wedge, talking about the bounce.
Yep.
Can you talk about? We have the MD3s here.
Yeah,
they have different bounce options.
We have 4 different bounce options. We have, with the MD3, we have the C grind, okay, which has a little more relief in the heel and the toe. We have the standard, and the C grind's really designed for firmer conditions, or a person who wants to open that face up with a conventional wedge and do a little bit more with it around the green. The standard has some relief in the heel, but not as much as the C, and really good for shallow entries. And we have the new sole, which is the wide, which I probably don't have. Actually, I do have, which is a little wider sole, and that's really good for softer conditions and steeper when you're steep. because you need more bounce. It effectively has more bounce when you open it up. When it's square, it's just fine. It has about 10 degrees. And you need to have bounce. You need to have no less than 8 degrees on your lob wedge, and most of the pros have 10 to 12.
How much do you think that the average golfer underthinks bounce on their wedge and, tie it into wedge fitting itself?
Well, it's key to wedge fitting, but it's all about your technique, and the technique in the short game is really different than your long game. You have to rotate your arms and create the loft, which sets the bounce in a position to use it. The sole bounce. Let me just tell you, again, at the shaft being at 90 degrees, the trailing edge is lower than the leading edge, and that angle is the bounce angle, and so that's your skid plate. You want to use that. You want to hit that. That's what the pros do. The leading edge, not your friend at all. So you have to get the leading edge under the ball, and this comes in and skids, and just skids through and allows a good turf interaction and a good contact with the ball. So we have those three options for soft conditions, firm conditions, and we have actually three different grooves too. We have a very aggressive groove in the 58 and 56. 58 and 60, and a little bit less in the 54, 56, and then a little bit less going down that morphs right into your iron set. So it's a very technical wedge, and we mill the face for some face roughness as much as USGA allows us to do. It's a complete package. We have a beautiful dynamic gold shaft, a great lambkin grip, pretty cool package. And we have a new one, which is the Shamrock. Okay, the Shamrock, which is nicely lasered right here, is a new black dynamic gold shaft, but this is the first time True Temper has allowed us to not have gold in that label, their iconic label, and so we have the acid yellow highlighted all the way through with this. Great package. This is going to be out this year. It's not a show special. It's going to be out for everybody.
We'll be able to go to stores and actually pick up that Shamrock wedge.
Yep, it's cool.
The cool thing I think about the MD3 wedges they're clearly not a cookie cutter wedge. Like you said, the grooves are different from the lower lofts to the higher lofts. The bounce options are different. You can really get a wedge right there that's in tune for the exact type of player that needs to have those in the bag.
That's right. Go get fit, okay? Get somebody, take some lessons in your short game. That's how you're going to improve. The pros miss 5 greens, on an average. They hit about 13 greens on average, 13 and a half or something. Amateurs are not that good, so they're going to miss half, or, if I hit 5 greens, I'm doing great, okay? So. And so I'm missing a bunch of greens. So I'm fairly proficient at the short game. So I love that challenge. But if you take some lessons and get good at it, your handicap is going to go down. You're going to beat people.
A discussion we were having on the Hackers Paradise website was not so much about wedge heads, but also wedge shafts. How much do you think wedge shafts aid or change anything with ball flight as much and spin as a wedge?
Well, we've done a lot of testing, and we want some resistance for a man. Okay, for a strong person, we want to have some resistance. So I think the weight should be, what in a shaft that we have, which is about 125 grams in that area. Anything lighter, it's going to be lighter, and you're not going to feel it as much. As you get older and be a senior golfer or a lady, I think that weight can be too heavy. So I think you got to get lighter. Okay, go into graphite or go into lighter steel. Okay, so but there are specific shafts that the folks of different manufacturers have come out, or shaft manufacturers, to try and increase spin. But we've done a lot of testing, and that's really kind of, it always skews to more spin, but it's only about 250 RPM out of 10,000, and it's kind of noise. So it looks a little different, and so I just stick with something that has a softer tip that gives you feel, okay, and heavy enough to give you some resistance.
I Excellent. Well, Roger, thank you very much for taking the time to sit down, discuss the Black PM grind, the new MD3 wedges, and the Shamrock wedge, which looks great. We really appreciate that. So from the 2016 PGA Merchandise Show, from the Callaway booth with the legend Roger Cleveland, I'm Dean DiCrescenzo for THP TV.